Hi guys, a few weeks ago I posted a video up of someone hitting my car whilst it was parked up and capturing it on the dashcam. I had an awful lot of people send direct messages and comments in the video asking about the dashcam and how it's powered, how long it stays on for, etc, etc, and quite a few people saying can I do a video about it. So basically here we are. Now the first thing I might as well start with is the dashcam itself. I'm not going to say go for a specific make or model because there are many out there. A lot of them very good, and it's constantly changing. Find a really good review website or a YouTube channel that reviews them and kind of pick from that. But for those that are asking, I've got a Transcend DP220 and there's a DP200 in the GTI. The only thing I will say regarding the actual make and model is get a decent one. There are quite a few like Chinese eBay types out there that will do the job, but they don't do the kind of like a key thing for me. I'll show you a video in a second, and basically on the cheap one you just can't get the kind of most crucial thing if someone hits your car, especially if you're not in the car at the time, and that's the registration plate. You might be able to see the positions of the cars and things like that, so it can help having just a cheap camera in, but as I found out, it's quite difficult to see someone's registration number when your car's not moving. When this car's flying past you, even at 30 miles an hour, it gives very little time for the dashcam to actually get the registration plate. I'll show you a video now of a cheap eBay Chinese dashcam video, and you can see the difference in the quality. See if you can see the registration number of the car that's about to pull out on the dashcam camera, and quite frankly you can't. Now imagine something like that happens and the guy drove off. You would see the guy doing it, you would see the car, you just couldn't tell the registration number and therefore couldn't track them down. So it would be really infuriating. Now see the video of the person hitting my car. Now I will point out that I'm not using the actual person who's hit my car, so the car that I'm pausing it on has nothing to do with the damage. I'm just using it as an example of why you should get at least a half decent camera, because then you'd be able to pick up on the registration plate, and even with a half decent camera how difficult it is to see. Even frame by frame, there's only a few of them that you can actually really pick the number plate out. Can you imagine what would have happened if I'd have had the cheap camera in when someone hit my car? I just would not have been able to see the registration plate of the person doing it. I would be able to see the car doing it, but I wouldn't have a clue as the reg, and therefore I won't be able to track the person down and make them pay for the damage basically. So it would have rendered the dashcam kind of pointless. So that's the only thing I'll say about the make and model. Go for a decent one. When I say decent, I mean kind of like a known brand version dashcam. You've got Blackview, Transcend, Nextbase, MyView. I'm forgetting loads, but there are loads out there. Now this one is currently £105, I think it is, on Amazon. The slightly cheaper version in the GTI is I think about 80. Now I would say that one, quality's fine, is about the minimum you should be aiming for when it comes to getting a dashcam in your car, about 80 odd pounds upwards. You can even get ones that have two cameras, so you can have one at front and back, yet it records in one place. Obviously you could just buy two separate dashcams and put them front and back, of course. I have always had this phrase, buy it shite, buy it twice. If you end up getting a cheaper one, someone will hit your car, you won't be able to see the reg number, so then you'll go out and buy the camera you should have bought in the first place, meaning you've spent more than you would have done if you'd have just bought the decent one first time round. If all you can afford is the cheaper one, that's fine. It will be a benefit, certainly when you're driving around. It will prove some things. But I'm more bothered about my cars when they're parked up, especially in car parks, supermarkets, things like that, because the only time me or anyone in my family or friends have pretty much had issues, certainly when proving something, is when the car's parked up, because very few people these days, unfortunately, if they hit your car accidentally, leave a note saying, I'm sorry, I've hit your car, here's my details. So yes, go for a decent one and do yourself a big favour. Now on to the most common question I got in the previous videos, and that's about the power and how it's powered when the car's off. As you can see here, the car's on, the dash cam's on, and if I turn the ignition off in the car, the camera stays on. That is wired into a permanent live 12-volt live feed. Basically it's wired directly to the fuse box, which basically means it's directly powered by the battery in the car. Now, let's treat this as a normal car. Forgetting the fact this is an electric car for a second, I've got one in the GTI, which is obviously a traditional setup where cars are concerned. Having the dash cam running all the time will deplete the battery. Well, basically, the easy way around that is a little magic box called Power Magic Pro. It seems to be the most common one. I think there are a few different brands around, but this is the one that everyone seems to go for. Now, the job of that is basically to detect the state of health in some ways, or the voltage at least, of the 12-volt battery in the car. So basically, you can change the preset amount, but I think the default is 11.8 volts. So if the battery in your car drops to a certain level, it will cut power to the dash cam to stop it killing the battery. So you don't have to worry about, if you leave it on for days on end, it completely running down your battery, because the job of this Power Magic Pro is basically, as I said before, to detect if the battery gets too low, it cuts power to the dashcam. So it really is as simple as that. And I've never, in the years I've had dashcam, had a single battery issue with a car or the dashcam running the battery down. Now on to the next most common question I got, and that's the storage. How long can you record for? How long can that record for? And I'll get onto the parking mode later on. This full quality, which is what I'll leave it at for reasons I've said before, using a 64 gig card, it will do about 12-13 hours continuous recording before it starts overwriting the oldest footage, because that's how they work. They work on kind of like a loop. It will constantly record, but it'll delete the oldest footage, which is usually now the 1 or 3 minute clumps. So about 12-13 hours on a 64 gig card, and you usually get a 16 gig card with the camera. So the first thing I would do is upgrade the card. Now, 16 gig card will only get you 3, maybe 4 hours of footage. When you buy the dashcam, buy a 64 gig SD card, which pretty much is the largest you can get in any dashcam I can find on the market. There might be one out there that does 128 gig, I'm not sure, but pretty much that is the limit of all the typical dashcams you can get. This is the casing point. When the Leaf got damaged just a few weeks ago, there was a 16 gig card in, because I'd taken the 64 out to get some footage of it, ironically. So I didn't notice the damage on the car when I came out, because it was on the passenger side. I got in, drove home. It was only when my wife was going to work, not long after I got home, that I saw the damage as she was driving off. Now, when I pulled the card out, which was immediately, and checked the footage, there was only half an hour of footage before the actual incident itself, which basically means that if I'd have let my wife just drive to work, which takes her half an hour, that footage would have been overwritten. So don't make this mistake. I very nearly did. And get yourself 1 or even 2 64 gig cards, because as I was, sometimes you need to pull the card out for whatever reason. It might be faulty, it might need reformatting, you might want to get some footage off it from something that's happened previously. So it's always a good idea to have a spare card. I've used a 16 gig as a spare card, but maybe I should change that policy and get another 64. The installation of the dashcam is pretty straightforward. In fact, I will do a recreation of how I installed it right now. Hello? Yes, could you install a dashcam for me? Thank you very much. Bye! So yeah, I'm lazy enough to get someone to do it for me, but it is for a very good reason. You know it's done safely, it's wired in correctly. I mean, mine's got its own fuse, and then the Power Magic Pro, then it goes to the dashcam. I also don't trust myself taking trim off, especially when the trim has airbags behind it. So it's not so much I'm incapable, I just don't want to have a brand new car with a rattle inside the car because I've taken the trim off in the incorrect way or broken a tab or something like that. So at least you know, if it's done properly, there won't be any issues. Obviously use someone who's trusted. I paid £35, so I would say the most you should pay is £35 to £45 for a mobile guy to come and install it properly. It's fire and forget again. It's nice and easy. Capable of doing it yourself, then by all means. But I personally, I want it installing. I want the cables hidden correctly. I mean, that's literally all you can see here. One little wire coming down. Again, it depends on your capability, but if, like me, you like the easy solution and you know it's done safely, then just pay someone to do it. It really is a lot easier. Now, a few people wanted to know if I had one at the rear. I don't. For a good couple of weeks, I was toying with the idea of getting another one and putting one in the back as well, but I've decided against it, partly because it doubles the cost nearly, of course. You have to get another camera. Various reasons, but I mean, I always reverse into a parking spot. I never drive in. And when you're driving out and about, if someone goes into the back of you, it's very, very... I don't think there's any realistic situation where they could argue it was your fault. The only thing they could say is that you reversed into them. Well, the forward-facing camera will show you not moving when someone hits you, as I found out.
Just seen the now.
The only thing they could have said is that I reversed into them. Well, even forward-facing camera shows that that wasn't the case. So, driving and out and about, I really didn't see much of a benefit as to having one at the back. The only thing that I guess you could argue against is that if I'm parked on a street or in a car park and there's a car behind me, that's the only time someone, I guess, could hit you and you not pick it up on camera. So it's a gamble. I'll leave it up to you, what you do. If you want to get 2 cameras, then by all means, but of course that will increase your cost. And last thing, I'll show you what it looks like from my point of view when I'm driving, because again, some people have said it's quite in your face, but it isn't. I'll go mobile. Okay, so this is my point of view, I guess, and it really doesn't get in your face. It's quite a unobtrusive installation. Now this is on the larger side, I would say, for the dash cams. The previous black view I had was kind of long and thin. I hope. So it's that was tucked behind that a bit more. So it really isn't a problem. It's not something that I've ever known anyone kind of complain about. So yeah, that's kind of your view you get, and you forget it's there. You really do. Alright, so just to briefly show you what a dash cam kind of does really, and that's just the on and off button. That's quite straightforward. No, you don't have to have this screen on all the time. I do leave it on all the time, just because sometimes I end up knocking it, or my daughter might, do something. So it just means you can see if someone knocks it and it's out of position or something like that, or it's a bit cockeyed, you can see what the camera sees, so you know it's working. It also, if there's ever any memory card fault or anything like that, it comes up on here. That bit in the top corner tells you how many saved captures that you've got, because basically this button here, not all cameras have them, but this one does. If something happens in front of you and you don't want the footage to be overwritten, for example, if I see an accident in front of me, but I know I won't be getting out of the car for several hours, I can just press that button there, and it sets aside I think it's the previous 30 seconds and the next 2 minutes, so that will stop that from being deleted, from being overwritten. So you don't have to worry about pulling the card out straight away or anything like that. A lot of them will activate, of course, when if it detects a loud bang, or if you stop quickly, it will often do this by itself. So I think the idea is if you're in an accident and you end up smashing your car and obviously you're unconscious or something, that will kind of save that footage automatically. You can often, with this has Wi-Fi built in, so I can connect this to my phone and view the footage direct on the phone rather than having to pull the card out. Change the resolution and various other things. For the most part, you don't have to worry about it. Just leave it on default. You can turn the voice recording off. So if you do end up driving into a wall and killing yourself, the last thing that your wife doesn't hear is you singing along to something terrible. Now, for those that were wanting to record for a long time, let's say for your cat's back from the street Monday to Friday or something like that, and it's not used, parking mode can help extend the storage time that you get. Because as I've said, it only records if it detects movement or a loud noise, something like that. The reason I don't really have that turned on is because it typically for me uses just continuous recording anyway. If my wife goes to work, for example, she parks in a car park that's surrounded by trees. Now, a tree moves, therefore the camera detects movement, therefore the camera is just constantly recording anyway. If you park on a main road with cars going past, or a tree in the background, or clouds moving, it will be constantly recording. So it can help parking mode depending on what your circumstances is, but if the camera's, and it's a very wide angle, if the camera's got anything that moves at all, you'd be probably constantly recording anyway. So I'll leave it up to you whether or not it's worth buying. Most of them have them built in now anyway, and it can be handy, but again, it's something I don't particularly use because it's always on anyway. So that's what parking mode is. Right, that's it. I think I've answered everything that people asked. If I haven't, then as always, post in the comments and I'll do my best. I'd be interested to know if you've got any footage of someone hitting your car. If you've got a dash cam and you've caught someone and had the satisfaction of making them basically pay for it. So yeah, let me know if you've caught something. I know a lot of people commented on my video that their car's been hit when parked up and no note left, and it's cost them an insurance claim or hundreds of pounds or even more. Someone said that it cost them £2,500 in an insurance claim because someone hit the car and drove off. So you can, don't wait until something happens basically before you get a dash cam, because you'll be really annoyed with yourself. Get one now. I'll put the costings up in a second, and it really does make financial sense. I'll use my installation as an example, and the memory card £17, PowerMagic Pro 26, dashcam 105, installation 40. So £188. So call it £190 for a fully professionally installed big memory card dashcam. Now it's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, £190. Call it 200 just for the sake of argument. It is a lot of money. But how much is your excess on your insurance? I have a 0 voluntary excess, but I think the mandatory is £200. So I only need one thing, one incident that saves me having to claim on my insurance or pay out my own pocket, and it's paid for itself already. Now, for those of you that have been on this channel for a while, you'll know that this Leaf, my second Leaf, was replaced by Nissan because of something that happened during the service, which was caught on dashcam. And by that alone, I was better off to the tune of 4 figures. The damage to the car that happened a few weeks ago, if I didn't go through insurance, is £620. He is now paying that rather than me. So as far as getting it goes, it's a no-brainer for me. Yes, £200 is a lot of money, but look how much it saved me. In just in money terms. I mean, think of the convenience. A dash cam will turn a 6-month claim into a 6-day claim. Of course, if it's your fault, then it could do the opposite. But you get my point. It really is, in my head, a complete no-brainer to get a dash cam. There are other benefits as well. You might end up capturing some idiot tripping over their charge lead. And I've also used it in the past to prove that when I paid for a pre-12 delivery and the car was parked outside my house at the time, the guy turned up at 3 o'clock because my car was pointed at the house. I mean, that's another benefit, I guess, that some people may have. If your car is pointing at your house when it's at home, it's effectively got a CCTV on your house. So if someone does something to your house, the car might capture it. There's all sorts of benefits. And the only downside is the initial cost. And for me, just for the satisfaction alone of capturing someone who drove off without leaving a note, it's worth every penny. So yes, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.